Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to take that stack of sources you've gathered and, well, really pull out the core knowledge, the fascinating bits you need to know.
And today, we're digging into something that I think everyone feels they know, but maybe don't fully appreciate. The amazing intelligence, maybe even the hidden superpowers of dogs.
Exactly. Superpowers. It sounds dramatic, but when you look at the sources.
Oh, absolutely. We've got cutting-edge research here. Everything from studies on, like, canine vocabulary, which is mind-blowing, to their history and some really surprising jobs.
And it all seems to hinge on their incredible senses, right? That biological edge.
That's the foundation. Our goal here really is to unpack what makes them so special. Why can they do these things? Detect diseases, navigate through blizzards carrying medicine.
Okay, let's unpack this. Where do we start? Biology seems like the right place, the absolute foundation.
Definitely. You can't talk about dog genius without starting with the nose. I mean, it's just an overwhelming biological advantage. The numbers alone are pretty staggering.
Okay, lay the numbers on us. We're talking olfactory receptors. Is that it?
That's it. Dogs have somewhere around 300 million olfactory receptors. 300 million.
And humans?
We have roughly 5 million, maybe 6 on a good day.
5 million versus 300 million. That's not even close. That's like a completely different league.
It's a 60-fold difference, roughly. It's not just a bit better, it's a whole other dimension of sensing.
So it's more hardware. Does that automatically mean it's 60 times more sensitive? Or is it how they process it too?
It's both. More receptors means more data input, obviously, but a significant portion of their brain is dedicated just to processing those smells. That translates directly into sensitivity. We're talking about detecting concentrations as low as 1 part per trillion, PPT.
1 part per trillion. Okay, my brain just kind of stalls trying to picture that.
Yeah, it's tough. The analogy researchers often use is imagine 1 drop of liquid. Just 1 drop. Now imagine dissolving that perfectly in 20 Olympic-sized swimming pools.
Wow.
20. They could lightly detect that single drop. That's the level we're talking about.
Okay, that analogy helps. Suddenly it clicks. And what's really interesting is how this compares to our tech.
Right. Our best lab instruments, really sensitive stuff, they usually top out around parts per billion. ppb.
So 1,000 times less sensitive? Potentially?
Potentially, yes. And dogs are mobile, real-time detectors. No need to collect a sample, take it to the lab, run the machine. The dog does it right there, right then.
Incredible. So when they're using this amazing sniffer, what are they actually smelling? The sources brought up this term, the volatilome. What exactly is that?
The volatilome. Think of it as the unique chemical cloud that surrounds every living thing. It's the complete set of volatile organic compounds, or VOCs, that an organism produces and releases.
So not just general body odor, but something much more specific, like a chemical fingerprint that reflects what's happening inside.
Precisely. It reflects the body's metabolic state. These VOCs are constantly shed through breath, sweat, urine, skin oils, everything. And the crucial point is, this profile changes. Disease, infection, even strong emotions like stress. They alter the mix of VOCs.
Ah, okay, so that's the signature. That's the odor print the trained dogs are walking onto.
That's exactly it. They're smelling changes in that complex chemical signature.
It's just phenomenal what the nose can do. But let's pivot slightly. Let's talk about the brain behind the nose, because there are some really surprising findings about canine cognition too, right? Specifically about learning language.
Yes, this is really fascinating territory. A study from Eötvös-Loránd University in Hungary identified this rare group of dogs they call gifted word learners, or GWLs.
Gifted word learners. And this wasn't just owners bragging. These dogs were actually tested.
Oh yeah, properly tested. They found 41 of these GWL dogs spread across 9 different countries, and these dogs could pass structured vocabulary tests the researchers designed, identifying specific toys by name, that kind of thing.
41. Is there any pattern? Like certain breeds?
There is actually a pretty strong one. Out of the 41, 23 were border collies, or border collie mixes.
Okay, that makes some intuitive sense. Border collies are known for being incredibly smart and trainable.
Exactly. They mentioned one specific dog in the study, Basket, I think.
Yeah.
A border collie who knows the names of over 50 different toys.
50 toys by name. But here's the bit that really jumped out at me from the sources. How they learn these names. It wasn't what you'd expect, was it?
No, not at all. And this is the kicker, really.
Hmm.
Most of the owners, and these were just regular pet owners, not, professional dog trainers, they reported they didn't intentionally teach the dogs the names.
So no drills, no clicker training specifically for names.
Apparently not for the most part. The dogs seemed to just pick up the names spontaneously
Hmm.
during normal, unstructured playtime.
Just by hearing the words used casually while playing.
That seems to be the implication. It suggests that maybe playfulness itself, that kind of interactive engagement, might be a key trait linked to this rare ability.
So how do we know this isn't just like super advanced obedience, like hearing fetch ball versus truly knowing ball as an object label?
That's a fair question. The researchers differentiate it based on the spontaneity and the speed of acquisition. Teaching a command is usually deliberate, with reinforcement. These GWL dogs seem to connect a sound the word with an object very quickly, sometimes after just a few exposures, and crucially within the context of play, not formal training.
Okay.
That's why they're calling it potentially the first documented case of talent in a non-human species. It hints at something beyond just learned stimulus response, more like a genuine cognitive skill, maybe similar to how young children absorb language.
A specific talent linked to maybe cognitive flexibility showing up strongly in certain breeds, but also individuals. Wow.
Exactly. It suggests they're not just associating a sound with an action, but potentially understanding the object itself as a name.
Okay, let's connect these ideas. Let's bring that olfactory superpower back into the picture and see how it combines with this learning ability, especially in health detection.
Right? This is where it gets incredibly practical and honestly life-saving. Dogs are being used more and more for non-invasive detection of various diseases.
We're talking cancer, COVID-19.
Yes, certain cancers, COVID-19, infectious diseases like C. diff, and also metabolic conditions. Diabetes alerts for hypoglycemia or hyperglycemia are probably one of the best known examples.
And they do this just from smell, like breath or sweat.
Breath, saliva, sweat, urine, non-invasive samples. They're detecting those subtle changes in the volatilum we talked about earlier, the odor print of the disease or condition.
The accuracy rates in some studies are just unbelievable.
They really are, especially in controlled lab settings. There was one study on lung cancer detection. Sensitivity and specificity both reported at 0.99.
Point 0.9, that's near perfect. From smell alone.
Essentially, yes. Another example, a dog trained to detect Clostridium difficile, that's a nasty hospital-acquired bacterium in stool samples. High accuracy, even distinguishing it within that very complex chemical environment.
It's just incredible. And what about detecting invisible states like emotions, particularly stress for PTSD service dogs?
That's another really active area of research, and the evidence is building strongly.
All
A
right.
recent study looked at this directly. They took breath and sweat samples from people at baseline, just relaxed.
Okay.
And then again, while they were under acute psychological stress, they induced stress using a tough mental math task.
Okay, the classic stress inducer.
Right. And then they presented these paired samples, baseline versus stress, to trained dogs.
And could the dogs tell the difference?
Overwhelmingly, yes. They achieved a combined accuracy of 93.75% in telling the stress sample apart from the baseline sample.
Wow. So they can literally smell stress.
It seems so. The physiological stress response increased heart rate, blood pressure, all the changes of the VOC profile. Stress apparently has a distinct odor print that these dogs can reliably detect.
That has huge implications for service dogs. Now, one thing the sources mention is variability, especially comparing something like a diabetic alert dog to, say, a continuous glucose monitor. The tech might be more consistently accurate number-wise.
That can be true in some studies, yes. Technology offers precise measurements. But here's the interesting part. Even when the technical alert reliability of the dog might vary a bit compared to a CGM,
Owners still report huge benefits, right?
exactly, consistently high owner satisfaction. They talk about reduced worry, feeling more independent, just a better quality of life overall.
So it's not just about the alert itself, it's the whole package.
Precisely. It's the constant companionship, the emotional support, that feeling of security that comes from the bond that provides a value that, a machine just can't replicate. It's holistic.
That makes total sense. The human-animal bond factor is huge. Okay, let's shift gears one more time. Beyond the medical and cognitive aspects, let's look at their history. Dogs have had some seriously unusual and vital jobs.
Oh, their historical resume is amazing. It really showcases their versatility, strength, smell, endurance, and that willingness to partner with humans.
Let's start with the Gold Rush era. Sled dogs. Absolutely essential, weren't they?
Indispensable for
Mm.
transport, mail delivery. especially in places like Alaska and the Yukon, where the terrain was just impossible otherwise.
Right.
We all know the story of Bolto, right?
The serum run to Nome, yeah. Delivering diphtheria antitoxin.
Bolto's team ran the final 53-mile leg, but it was a massive relay effort. That whole event actually inspired the Iditarod race, and that race route. It follows an original critical mail and supply trail used by sled dogs.
From saving lives in blizzards to saving wine. I saw that in the sources. Wine inspectors.
Yes, using that incredible nose again. They're trained to detect TCA, or cork taint. It's a chemical fault that ruins wine. Humans might detect it sometimes, but dogs can be trained to sniff it out at incredibly low levels, ensuring tainted bottles don't even leave the winery. Saves millions.
Okay, that's niche. And then pest detection. Bed bugs.
Another great application. Bed bugs are notoriously hard to find. Researchers train dogs, and they achieve something like a 97.5% success rate in finding even a single live bug or viable egg in a room. Super efficient, non-destructive.
Much better than tearing the room apart.
Yeah.
And bodyguard dogs. The Doberman story is fascinating.
Right. Louis Doberman, a German tax collector in the late 1800s, apparently needed protection on his rounds. So he specifically bred dogs for that purpose. That's the origin of the Doberman Pinscher, bred for a job.
A tough job collecting taxes back then, I imagine.
Must have been. And that protective reputation stuck. In World War II, the U.S. Marines used Dobermans, particularly in the Pacific. They nicknamed them devil dogs during the Battle of Guam.
Devil dogs, wow. And finally, the most surprising job, perhaps. Mayor.
Yep. Symbolic, of course, but it shows the affection and respect. Max Sani is, I believe, the current mayor of Idlewild, California, an unincorporated town. A golden retriever, I think, following in the paw steps of Max first.
A dog mayor. Okay, so pulling all this together. The microdetection of VOCs, the potential for language learning, the historical roles from transport to pest control. The range is just immense.
It truly is. It highlights how dog senses operate on a level we can barely comprehend, allowing them to perceive physiological states, disease, stress that are invisible to us. That ability to read the vault alone is key. But, it's also important as we see these amazing results, especially from labs.
Right, we need to be critical.
We do. Think critically about how well these skills translate to the messy, unpredictable real world. Lab accuracy is one thing. Performance on the street or in a complex environment is another.
So wrapping this up, what's the big picture for you, our listener?
Well, consider this connection. Think about trained detection dogs. They get rewarded food, a toy, for finding that specific odor print, right? The scent of disease or stress or whatever the target is. Now think about evolution. There's research suggesting that wild predators, like wolves, might actually use the volatilome too. They might use those subtle chemical signals to identify weaker or sick animals in a herd. Easier prey.
Ah, smelling vulnerability.
Exactly. Their reward isn't a tennis ball. It's a successful hunt, a meal. So here's the provocative thought. Is it possible that when we train these amazing detection dogs, we're essentially just tapping into and refining that ancient, deeply ingrained predatory instinct, the instinct to sniff out and select the vulnerable based on their chemical signature?
So is medical detection just a modern twist on an ancient hunting strategy?
It's something to think about, isn't it? How deep do these abilities really go? That's something for you to mull over.